So, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would take a break from the normally scheduled projects that I have going and do a little bit of art journaling. I don't do a whole lot of art journaling, but I do enjoy it. It's a nice way to kind of like have a break from so many structured projects and just have the opportunity to have a place to be free and just not worry so much about having things being perfect. Art journaling is also another way to kind of get out a lot of thoughts and emotions, kind of put them down on paper to process things as a healing or a therapy type of as healing or therapy. I'll just say that. But anyway, I have 3 art journals. I think most of you are familiar with this one. This is a book that I've sort of taken and repurposed it into a journal. And you've seen this one before. It used to be for not wedding planning, but lots of inspirational wedding photos from celebrities and things like that. So I brought it with me from the States, and like I said, this is the one you've seen me working most often. And I generally do a lot of spreads in here, larger types of art journaling projects and things of that nature. So this is one, and then I have a second one. And by the way, none of these journals are complete. Like I said, I don't journal a lot, but I do like to pull them out from time to time just as a way to, like I said, have a break from the easel and from cutting papers and from sculpture making and things like that. So the second one I have is also, a repurposed book that I found this one in a secondhand store. And this one has lots of, these are just copies, by the way, of Baroque paintings from, I guess they're from different places. Germany, I see here, Italy. Yeah. And in this particular journal, I found that I generally do a lot of, well, not a lot. Right now it's just filled with portraits. So I guess this is kind of like a portraits type journal. And I haven't gotten very far in this one, so I have to pull this one out more often. And then I have a very small journal that I call my Ancestral Journal. It doesn't have a cover on here. I'll get back to that later. But I posted let me just talk about what this is. This is a journal where I generally incorporate vintage photos. And I sort of use these photos as, well, it's not sort of, I use the photos as inspiration for my journal spread. So there are vintage photos of, right now, they're mostly women. And the women in these photos, their identity is unknown. But I draw a lot of inspiration from these old photos. You know, I start to think about who these people were, what their lives were like, and just all sorts of things, you know. And I really enjoy flipping through old photos in general. And when I find one that really resonates or speaks to me, I like to incorporate the photo in this particular journal. And I think one day last week, I posted this particular spread on Instagram, and someone asked me about the woman in the photo. And again, her identity is unknown, but her photo really spoke to me, and I think she's really beautiful. So I decided to use her photo and her energy, so to speak, as inspiration for this journal spread. And I did this sometime back in 2016. I think I started this journal in 2016. Again, not completely finished, but there are quite a few spreads here that I've been actually able to complete. This one's not finished yet, I don't think, but anyway. And I did this one for an online art journal course. And this is one that is inspired by Sojourner Truth. And we know who she is. Amazing African American woman. So, and what I thought today is that I would work in this journal, but I would incorporate a photo from an actual family member. Now you can't see this very well through the camera, but I'll post a couple of photos here and there from Simi Radford and Sally Harkness. Now I don't know a lot about Sally, but like I said, she is an actual family relative, and what we believe is that she is the cousin of my grandmother. So as you can see from the photo, this was taken, I can't even tell you, early 1900s, maybe. Looking at the horse and buggy and the way that she's dressed, she is wearing a hat. It also looks like she might have Mr. Radford's hat sitting in her lap. So they are dressed very fashionably here. They're very chic. And back in those days, you didn't have to be going anywhere special to be dressed like this. I mean, this is just how people sometimes they went shopping. They did their shopping. But anyway, I had this photo from a cousin. He posted it on our Facebook family site, and I just loved the fact that we actually have a treasure like this in our family. Some old photos. We have lots of old photos back home in the States. They're spread out with siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles. And I remember particularly from my childhood, my aunt, she kept a lot of old family photos just lined on the walls in the hallway in her house. And I just really loved to, every time we were there, to just look over those photos and just, not even thinking like I do now about their lives or whatever, just totally tuned into or pushed into these black and white photos, and it's just a wonderful thing to have. And what I think I'm going to do today is, I don't know if I will use the photo of both Sally and his name is Simi Radford. I don't think he's a relative. Yeah, I'm not sure if they were a couple, if they were, I have no idea. But anyway, I would like to at least include a portion of this photo in my Ancestral Journal, which purpose is to honor those who came before us, whether family members or not, just as a way to remember them, to keep them in my heart, in my mind, because like I said, I find it to be very inspirational. And I think it's a great thing to it's a powerful thing to know where you come from. So this is why I have the journal. So Okay, so I think I am going to call this page finished. I guess there are several things I should have pointed out in the beginning when I got started, as I decided to add some collage papers. And that big brown piece of paper was actually like a copy of an old school library card, like when you would borrow a book from the library. That's what that was. It was a copy of that. And here's, you can barely see it, author. I put my name there. And then the title, it said The Lost Generation. So I changed it to say The Loved Generation. And this is Simi and Sally, of course. And you can still kind of see where it says date due and borrower signature here. And what I also incorporated was a little bit of fabric here. This is fabric, and I used gel medium to lay that down or to attach that. And then I also added some gold flakes. This is what my husband has left over when he makes a frame. He's starting to make all of the frames for my paintings. So when he uses the gold leafing, we usually have some left over, so I use it in my art projects too. So I added some of that with some gel medium as well. So yeah, I think I'm going to be done with this page today. It's just a quick art journaling session. I usually don't spend a whole lot of time in the journal. Sorry about that, I lost one of my lights. So yeah, generally for me it's always a short art journal session. And again, like I said, in a very special journal for me, my Ancestral Journal. And I actually think it might be cool to, like when I go home, we plan to go back to, well, I'm at home now here in Germany, but when we visit my family next year in the States, I think I'm really going to make an effort to gather more of those old family photos and maybe even start a larger journal in this form. So yeah, that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for joining me, and please be sure to like and subscribe and also leave a comment. I really appreciate you being here today. So see you in the next video.